times when the desert might seem barren, almost devoid of animal life. But in reality, there are many creatures that make it their home. Most of them are especially adapted to a life in the desert's harsh, dry climate, which may be extremely hot in summer and cold in winter. The particular area which we are showing is the northeastern part of the Sonoran Desert near Tucson, Arizona. Imagine that you have the eyes of a red-tailed hawk, cruising boundless skies in exhilarating flight, which we humans can never hope to match. From the hawk's vantage point, high above its nest in a saguaro cactus, you might be able to see in a short time, if luck is with you, some glimpses of desert life which the average human would take weeks or months to observe. Hawks are a necessary part of the world's ecology. By feeding on the weak and diseased, they maintain a population control of the animals upon which they prey. When not engaged in eating, their favorite hobby, they exercise. The slightest breeze will start their wings flapping. In this way, they develop strong muscles and a sense of timing, so necessary for their future survival. Sometimes their young wings carry them almost too high, but each day they gain confidence and eventually leave the nest, but stay in the area where they are fed by their parents as they learn the technique of hunting. Most foxes are ground-loving animals, but the desert gray is an exception. Although they usually raise their young in underground burrows in the spring of the year, during the extremely hot days of summer, they often climb saguaros and sleep in the crotch of the arms, and like the red tail in flight, see interesting happenings below. Non-aggressive Gila monsters are unique to a small section of western deserts. They are one of only 2 poisonous lizards in the world and are protected in Arizona due to their rarity. They feed on insects, small rodents, and birds' eggs. They are usually sluggish, but when forced, can amble along the ground at a fair rate of speed. Peccaries are pig-like animals found only in the Americas. Those that occur wild near Tucson have a light-colored band of fur around the neck and are called collared peccaries. Although peccaries are tough, as you can see by their eating of cactus, spines and all, the oft-repeated stories of their unprovoked attacks on humans are unverified. When cornered or wounded, however, their sharp tusks can do great damage. They are primarily vegetarians. They usually travel in family groups of 8 or 10 and have young, generally twins, at any time during the year. The other hoofed animal that is comparatively common on the desert is the blacktail or mule deer. This one, which was in the habit of watering in a bird bath, is a spikebuck, which probably means that he is about 1 year old. With further maturity, his antlers will fork and grow additional tines. But after he passes the prime of life, the prongs will decrease, and with extreme old age, he might once more become a spike. The circling red-tailed hawk from his vantage point in the sky probably sees badgers every day. But humans know the animal best by seeing spots where gaping holes are left in the ground. Badgers are tireless workers, ever on the lookout for rodents which form their main food. And they rarely travel any distance without trying to excavate a meal from underground. Although ring-tailed cats are not rare, they are seldom seen, not even by the hawk, for they are almost entirely nocturnal. Despite the common name, they are not cats, but have a distant kinship with raccoons. As you can see by the actions of this animal, it is extremely nervous, always on the lookout for danger, and ready to disappear at the slightest disturbance. Like the ringtails, bobcats are also nocturnal, but in hot summer weather, they can sometimes be drawn from hiding if water is available. Their foods consist mainly of rabbits and small rodents. The desert has cardinals that are more brilliantly red than their eastern relatives. The heavy beak is used for cracking seeds, their main food. It is so strong that few other birds will challenge them. Even woodpeckers that can chisel holes in tree trunks tolerate them and do not try to drive them away. The female cardinal lacks the brilliance of the spectacular male. Gambel's quail are common on the desert, and a single pair will sometimes have a brood of 18 or more chicks. If all of these survived, we would be knee-deep in quail within a very few years. But throughout all of nature, there is a surplus of offspring, which permits losses without endangering future populations. Being ground nesting birds, dangers to baby quail are much greater than to birds that nest in bushes or trees. Of this brood of young, only 3 or 4 will reach maturity, a number sufficient to maintain a population, but not to overpopulate. Even the misnamed sparrowhawk, which lives primarily on insects, comes in to drink. And jackrabbits that can subsist from the moisture in their vegetarian diet will take water when available. The desert cannot boast of large trees, and as a result, our squirrels are ground-loving and live in burrows in the earth. These are antelope ground squirrels. Cactus spines, which would painfully puncture a human at the slightest contact, do not seem to bother these squirrels. They paw through them as though the points were dull. Although ground-loving, these diminutive squirrels are capable climbers. They will climb mesquite to obtain the seeds and have lookout points to detect an approaching enemy. After a hard day's work, with no danger in sight except the red-tailed hawk high in the sky, they like to yawn and stretch. And stretch again. Roadrunners are controversial birds. People who see them take a baby quail consider them villains. However, quail chicks are available for only a few months. During the remainder of the year, roadrunners live on mice, lizards, scorpions, and rats. And rats are known to be a quail's worst enemy. Therefore, the bird is an enemy of individual quail, but a benefit to the species. Roadrunners lay white eggs in a stick nest, usually placed in cactus. Here, one of the just hatched chicks begs for food. They are strange, ground-loving members of the cuckoo family, uniquely Western, and cuckoo enough to try to carry more food than the beak will hold. At least he tried. The young leave the nest several days before being capable of flying and beg food from the watchful parents. After a chilly night, they warm their bodies by spreading feathers on the back and letting sunlight hit the skin. In this next series of pictures, rarely photographed, a mother round-tailed ground squirrel tries valiantly to protect her young. Almost loses the battle, but wins out in the end, and the bird goes off to look for easier food. If more underground burrows had been available, a different escape might have been possible. So, more burrows are made. The young watch the work while they wrestle and play, until a danger signal caused by a rapid stamping of feet is carried through the ground. Roadrunners can't go into burrows, but gopher snakes can. So with the red-tailed hawk circling above and an enemy on the ground surface that can go into burrows, a reason for the large broods of rodents immediately becomes apparent. There must be an expendable surplus so that some survive. Each narrow escape tends to make the young more alert to the numerous dangers that exist. But in the lower forms of animals, the nagging worry of an impending calamity does not seem to exist. Few, if any, are subject to nervous breakdowns. White-winged doves are the largest of the 4 kinds inhabiting the Tucson area. But forget the idea that doves are peaceful. They fight with raised wings and can give a painful blow. The rock squirrel is the largest of the 3 ground-loving squirrels that reside here. They are very prolific, and their vegetarian diet makes them congregate around farms or habitations where plants are domestically raised. The state of California estimates that ground squirrels and gophers destroy 10% of the state's farm produce each year. Red-tailed hawks, roadrunners, golden eagles, and other predators feed upon them and tend to keep their numbers at a normal level. Cactus blooms are usually spectacular and could well be included with the most beautiful flowers in the world. This is a fishhook pincushion. Hedgehog. All hedgehogs have beautiful blooms. Prickly pear varieties have blooms of varied colors. This species has yellow blooms and large pads. Beaver tail, named for the similarity of the pads to a beaver's tail. This cactus can be deceiving. Spines infinitesimal, tiny but painful. Diamondbacks are the most common rattlers in the area. Note the rings on the tail. This coral snake and the rattler are the only dangerous snakes in Arizona. Coral snakes are rarely seen as they are nocturnal. These lizards are called collared due to the rings around the neck. The millipede is usually seen after rains. The perfect rhythm of so many legs is fantastic. Desert tortoises also stay hidden during most of the year, but the first summer rains bring them out of hiding. They are vegetarians. If winter rains hit the ground at just the right time and a sufficient quantity of water is absorbed by the earth, the spring flowers often blanket the country. These are desert marigolds. Later, in this same field, after the marigolds have gone to seed, harvester ants transport seeds underground and probably help keep the soil porous, which aids water penetration. Some of the seeds so planted sprout and aid ground cover growth. Brittlebush and pink owl clover are also plants which bloom in the spring. Golden poppies can occur in small clumps or in single plants, or as solid fields of yellow. Beryl cactuses bloom in the late spring and summer. Recurved spines give this plant the name of fishhook beryl. The larger plants lean toward the southwest. From this characteristic, they are sometimes called compass cactus. May and June are the months to see these spectacular flowers, which bloom on Arizona's largest cactus, the saguaro cactus. Each year, the thrilling cycle of life repeats itself, both in the animals and vegetation of our fascinating Arizona desert.